Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Marvin Bratke. I'm the founder and managing partner of Beta Realities. We are an architecture office that originated in Berlin. By now we have more locations than Berlin. We work quite internationally as well. And we're a very value-based company actually. And we have like this 3 value column that you also see here, which we think are originating like spatial innovation. And these 3 value columns are all centered around empathy, around circularity, and around technology. And like in these spaces is actually where we are creating architecture that like kind of connects people, but also that leverages like new technology to make building processes more efficient, to produce more locally and actually more sustainable. And all of this at a certain price point and like cost stability that has like a predictive planning where we can also give like a certain security to our clients, not only creating like iconic spaces that bring people together, but also looking forward in making them like more sustainable, more social sustainable, and also more ecological sustainable. And as you see here, these are just some projects examples we're doing all around the world. And since this panel is actually about AI and the role of AI inside our cities, like a part of this video is also created by AI just to set actually the mood for the panel as well. And we kind of see already the power it has to do. So this is mostly created from our project to create like these animations to walk you through. So, and just to dive a little bit deeper into it, and this keynote is also about these 3 topics, like empathy, like a social aspect in our architecture and the value-added proposition, circularity, how can we build more sustainable, but also with new models of building. And then in this lecture, the whole underlying layer is actually technology. And engaging with empathy and social strategies for transformative spaces, this is not a new topic and something that, of course, also our office originating is very deeply and intrinsically in research with. So what we see here is actually a cross-section in the 1900s of a London social housing. And it actually represents a lot of things that people connect with social housing nowadays. You see these cookie cutter houses. Every human turns basically into the same thing. Yeah, every flat is the same. There's a lot of repetition, and it takes kind of like the humanness out of it. And the same happens, I think, also, like, I mean, this is very cynical, but also in the way we construct nowadays. Yeah, this is the Seagram building by Mies van der Rohe, which was built in '57. And looking at our environments today, international style, we see that there's not so much progression actually. Yeah, there's a lot of innovation in detail. But the big question is this the right way to build in the end of the day? And there are counter models of this on the right side. You see the architecture machine group in MIT. It's almost the same time generating interactive city models, in this case for mice, but cities that actually change around us and that are not like static and like object defined, but rather become something that is more resilient and more adaptable. And when we look at our lifestyles today, we have, with the access to information, the internet, we have lifestyles that are changing so much faster than they used to. But our architecture is still very rigid and not able to cater to this change. And this is something of the core values of our office that we're actually doing. And some of this started with actually an idea we had very early on in our times, but it took a long time to develop. This is a project idea of leveraging and activating brownfields. In Berlin, we have a big problem with homelessness in our city. And we had this idea to create like inclusive homeless quarters on time, 4 sites that are in development, where like a building master plan is being developed, 4 sites that are abandoned. And we went to the Berlin City Mission with this idea, and they found it very great, and it turned into a research project where later on also Arup jumped on, the Bauhaus University in Weimar, and we're quite happy now actually that this turned into a prototype project now that is funded by the German government as well, of providing homeless shelters in a sustainable and approachable way. And on the way there, actually, to make these things also approachable for future users and to create circular business concepts around it, we actually leveraged like data of the city, like GIS and OpenStreetMaps, to identify the plots, but also write our in-house tools to make them comparable, but also to make the architecture approachable in the future and to create like individually catered spaces and rooms to the needs of the future clients. And what we often do, we write these tools. For example, this is something like a building configurator where actually future residents can individually cater these neighborhoods, in co-creation processes together with the developers, with the architects and with the sub-consultants, special planners as well. So we're creating tools to make like invisible processes more visible, like with, of course, with a layer of technology that is underlying it. And a similar project, but more recent, but also very different in this sense, is something that started with an international open competition that we turned out one of the winners, actually. This is also a settlement for homeless people. It's called Community First Village in Austin, Texas. And we won a big competition for a company, 3D printing company called Icon, in catering like individual houses to people who really need homes. And in this Community First Village, it's actually like the homeless people are taken care of. They're given jobs there, and they're giving opportunities to also pay off these homes and then create ownership inside these settlements. And the whole idea there was a very similar one to what you've seen in the last project. Instead of creating like one or two houses for one or two future owners, we created a catalog of houses in the digital platform where every future homeowner can actually, like Tetris, actually cater their own homes together. And then the technology, the software that we developed kind of takes over the rest, fits everything into the printing bed, creates the neighborhoods out of it, and then has a direct file-to-factory approach to the 3D printers who do 3D print these settlements. And we're quite happy we're through with DD, so that this goes into construction. Like two of the houses you've just seen will be constructed in Austin, Texas. And coming from that, another developer, like in another region, also approached to us like how to make individual homes, but at a scale, and like also at the price point, of course, also at the comparability, but also creating something special for everyone, which also led us to a similar approach to create a catalog of homes where future homeowners can, so to say, choose. But it's not a ready-built home, but it's a design approach to create something that is actually adding value to everybody, catering individually, but also bringing this not only from a residential point of view, but also from a hospitality point of view. So one of these projects is currently further developed into like a big hospitality development. It has over 30,000 units for a hotel without a hotel that is placed in neighborhoods, actually. So it's something between an Airbnb and a classical hotel, and it lives somewhere in between the metaverse and the reality. And the whole idea of it is also what happens to hotel rooms when they are not used. Can they generate energy? Can they transform? Can each hotel room learn from each other and cater to our special needs, and then also pre-configure to these special needs, becoming very smart? And I think that's also like a topic that very much caters into the logic of this panel, of the smart city and of the AI integration as well. So the idea of it is actually creating smart objects that in relation to each other can open different spatial configurations. What is above during nighttime can be a relaxing space during daytime. And something where we integrated this is just as a very basic approach is a small boutique hotel that just opened in Shanghai in the south of the city. Very Japanese touch, actually. That's something the owner wanted. But where you also see like these different spatial configurations, object insides of the spaces that create like very hospitable and actually very nice spaces and rooms in that. And the second point I want to go in also with this technological layer laying underneath is crafting for circularity. That's something that we're doing a lot in our office. We're planning with like high intelligence software, but often with like a, let's say, low-tech approach to building with local materials and also local construction techniques, but also with a certain sense of automation, yeah, to create kind of homes that are new and also like in a way of cost secure. And with this, we actually founded a company out of it that creates circular building technology, like timber building parts, prefabricated elements for commercial and residential buildings. And the whole idea, bringing this into a circular economy approach, is dividing the building parts itself, which have a lifespan from up to 150 years, from the lifetime of the building, which is the average in Europe. Like a building lasts only 30 to 40 years before it's demolished again, which is insane, I think. In differentiating these like building part life cycles away from the building, you can create buildings that have many lives. You can unbuild buildings, you can rebuild buildings, but all using the same parts. And these big ideas usually start very small. We built a lot of prototypes, a lot of prototype buildings. So this is one building we built with our system in 2022. It's the first circular multi-story mobility hub from a circular timber system. And in 2023, we unbuilt this. It was on the Green Tech Festival in Berlin. And we built from it with 80% of reused parts a school extension in Leipzig in Germany. And currently the system is so far that we integrated digital twin models, so everything until the last screw is actually detailed in the system. We're currently developing a mobile factory that you can locally produce these parts no matter where you are. So you use local resources and don't have the big transport and logistics to fabricate this. And of course, there's a digital layer in all of this with a digital configurator where future buildings can also be configured. And this is one of the first commercial buildings we're doing right now. This is in development right now. It's in the north of Germany, like a hotel building. And one of the projects that got us into this is actually the planning for the new terminal, or like a refurbished terminal for the Innsbruck airport. It's a beautiful location in Austria, in Innsbruck, right in the mountains. And the specialty of this airport is actually, it's quite close to the city, but it also contains an office building that needs to grow, double in size in the next 5 years. And in winter, because of the ski tourism, the airport has like double the passengers as in summer. So the building itself does not only have to change during the seasons, but it also has to change over the next 5 years. And with this, we created a local architecture, of course, that also fits the surrounding of the Alps and also activating heritage in the vernacular, but creating with technology a layer in the airport that allows it to be flexible and to change its rooms over time as well, and also for the office building, of course, to extend. And again, coming back from the big to the small, this is actually our smallest projects that we did. It's 36 square meters, but it's one of the most innovative we ever did. It's called Circular Hut. And this building is basically a real-life laboratory for future residential buildings. It has no concrete in it. It has no fixed parts in it. Everything can be demounted. Also the foundation, also the roof is like completely circular and demountable, including, of course, the wall build-ups and everything. And being now a showroom, actually in Berlin-Tegel, where the former airport used to be, we actually last week, together with Züblin, which is a big construction company in Germany, we unbuilt the prototype building And it was bought by the Tegel project company as the first circular timber building that is permanently erected on site. And what is quite interesting, I see when you see this building, 98% of the parts are either reused or reusable. And this is the whole building. It's almost like a Lego system laid out, so that you have no liquids in it. You have nothing you have to tear apart. So your building is not a mine where you have to get everything out, but it becomes a material bank where every material gains in value, and this opens up like new economic models, of course, for your project that become interesting for banks and then also become interesting for investors. And as you see it, like again here, we're separating the building materials, so to say, from the buildings. That means with this approach, you can build many different buildings over their lifetimes with the same materials. And all of this functions, of course, with a digital approach, with a digital layer, where everything is cartographed and every data is collected. And this is one of the bigger buildings we built with the same technique that you saw in the small building right now. This is a creative campus, the Kingston Art Port. It's a residential development or like a mixed-use development with a lot of retail in the ground floor. And also here we use like this technology to create options, to evaluate options. But in the end, of course, we're not doing options for the sake of options, but also to create, or like kind of like to craft performance criteria as well, and of course, like also from an artistic point of view, how this building works within the landscape, within the neighborhood, and how it can contribute like an added value to its surrounding. Very similar building also right now. It's like we start construction very soon in Düsseldorf, in the Areal Böhler, the circular house as well. It's a mixed-use building, very interesting mixed use. It's an office building on top and a kindergarten on the bottom. So you automatically have kind of like a social proposition and a social mix that you normally don't have so much in this. And we proposed, of course, like a very ecological building that integrates with the urban fabric as well, that activates kind of common activities, of course, but also that protects certain typologies from each other. And like in creating projects like this, just maybe a look behind the curtain, we create a lot of in-house software that actually, let's say, eases our planning as well, but also gives a certain security for the client in terms of cost and in terms of construction later. We use quite a lot inside of these buildings, which of course fastens the process quite a lot in the end of the day. And you have a lot of variables in these setups, of course, a lot of variables for different kind of energetic standards, for different certifications that you can, of course, apply as well in these buildings. And maybe the last chapter, only as a summary for us in the office, like AI is already quite an intrinsic part actually of our workflows. It's defined in everything we do, from the first sketch we do up to what you saw already in the leading up into construction, having digital files in construction. And it's a topic that we actually do all our lives. So this is a project we did in university at the Architectural Association, and it's about, like, of course, predicting like future cities, like with game theories and something like this. Like also we try to push further and further, but also with a crafting layer into it, with like a very design focus and approach to it. But in building these parametric tools, we are able to do more with less.
Really sorry to interrupt. You have 2 more minutes.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's perfect. We are able to do more with less. For example, here this is a marina village. We're crafted with 80 individual buildings and floor plans. Actually, that where no building is in the end the same, and all these digital tools help us for these layers. And we had already the topic of data today, and like these buildings create a lot of data, and designing these buildings create a lot of data, environmental data, how floor plans work, and of course this helps us also, of course, in larger developments. Here, for example, in Guangzhou, a big mixed-use development of creating like very special places very special architecture as well that is like catered to human needs, that also creates experiences inside the quarter as well. And just like also in Outlook, yeah, we also use it for visioning in the end of the day, and also creating optioneering as well, facade typologies. So you see that kind of this technological layer already has quite an influence in our daily workflows, so to say. And thank you.
Thank you, Marvin.